Dear students, this is an extension of video 1. We are going to see the schedules. We have seen the recoverable schedules. Now we are going to see non-recoverable schedule. So from the name indicated, you can understand what is meant by non-recoverable. That is, in this diagram, you can see two transactions, T1 and T2. One transaction cannot be recoverable. So that is the meaning of this. You can see here T1 starts with the first line of execution read of A. Next A equal to A plus 100 write of A. After that it goes for T2 read of A equal to A plus 500 write of A and commit is given. But when T2 is committed, T1 gets failed by using the abort statement. So T1 and T2 both the things cannot be recoverable. But in the serious recoverable schedule, you can able to see that T1 and T2 both the things are committed and there won't be any abort statement. But here the T1 getting aborted before T2 also getting committed. So once it get committed, T1 will be aborted. So it suffers from an inconsistency due to the failure of T1 after the point where T2 commits. So thus both the transaction, this we schedule T1 and T2 will become a non-recoverable schedule. Next, this is a cascading rollback and cascadeless schedule. So cascading rollback is even if a schedule is recoverable, to recover currently from the failure of transaction Ti, we may have to roll back several transactions. So that is we have to go back for the several transactions to take the recoverability. Example, consider three transactions T1, T2, T3. See here, T1 reads A equal to 100, writes A. After the T1 result, it goes for T2. After the T2 results, it goes for T3. When the T3 reading a same time T1 gets failed. So you can see here, at point T1 fails, T1 must be rolled back. But T2 is dependent on T1 and T1. But T2 must be rolled back. T3 is dependent on T2. T3 must be rolled back. This phenomena is in which a single transaction failure. It leads to the transaction rollback is called as a cascading rollback. So for each and every transaction failure, we have to check the rollback of the previous thing. That is for T3 is dependent on T2. T2 is dependent on T1. So this is called as a cascading rollback. Next we go for cascadeless schedule. It is an undesirable since it leads to undoing of significant amount of work. A schedule S is cascadeless if every transaction in the schedule reads only the data item that were written by committed transaction. Cascading rollbacks will not occur in a cascadeless schedule since it reads committed data item. Example, consider the schedule S with three transactions T1, T2 and T3. In this schedule, transaction reads the value of A and committed transaction, there is no possibility of cascading rollback. This is called cascadeless schedule. You can see here T1 is committed. So it is okay. T2 is committed. T3 only reads the A. After that it gets abort. So we no need to go for a rollback because it is already committed in T1 and T2. This is called as a cascadeless schedule. Last, we are going to see out the strict schedule. The schedule S is strict if the transaction in the schedule can either read nor write item A until the last transaction that wrote A has committed. So consider schedule with two transactions T1 and T2. In this transaction, T2 reads and writes the value of A of committed transaction T1. This is called strict schedule. You can see only after the committed transaction of T1, T2 reads the value of A. If T1 is not committed, T2 will not read the value of A. That is called strict schedule.